Okay, so today we're going to talk about what marketing is and what marketing is not. But before we get into it, Rin, I want to paint a picture. I want to tell you a story. I think this will really help people understand and paint this picture of what marketing is. So follow me on this. So a circus comes into town, right? They put flyers and posters all over the town. That is advertising. Now they take it a step further and they walk a giant elephant into the town and they put the sign on the elephant. That is promotion. Now, say that elephant just kind of stomps through the mayor's flower bed in town and the local media picks it up. That is publicity. Now, if they can get the mayor to laugh about it and make a funny statement, that is called public relations. In that article, taking it even a step further, in that article, if the circus tells them about all the different booths that they're having, all the fun they're going to have, all the activities and extra things that people can do, they answer questions about the circus, that is called sales. And if you planned the entire thing, that is marketing. Bam. Rin, we have a great show for people today.
I love it. I love opening up with the circus because we are in the wild circus of mortgage marketing, people. So let's get started. What else do we have today, Rach? I feel like we want to get into some planning, some business planning today.
Yeah, all of that, because I think a lot of times we forget we have got to be strategic. We can't just check one of these boxes and say, oh, I made a post. And then that's marketing. You know, we wonder why events fall short, or maybe we don't have as many people attending different things that we're putting a lot of energy into. It's because we're not following the full strategic plan of a marketing plan. We might just be doing the sales piece or the promotional piece or the PR piece. But when you put it all together, that's where the magic happens.
I agree with you, Rachel. I think a lot of times when we have, conversations with our officers, there's some great puzzle pieces happening. There's some masters of certain pieces of the craft, but they're not necessarily pulling together that full-fledged strategy. So, as you point out and illustrated in that great story, it all falls under the umbrella of marketing. But if you don't have a strategy of how you're reaching your real estate agents on a weekly and monthly basis, then there's something left on the table that you're missing. And, there's an opportunity for a greater and larger conversation and discussion, which should drive elevated results for every loan officer in their business.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you a question because you've been doing this marketing game for a long time. Why do you think it is that so many people stop at the promotion part of things? They stop at the putting the sign on the elephant and they think that's enough. Why do you think that people stop there and don't continue?
Well, it's like everything else in life. I mean, you put together a great exercise plan and you exercise for a couple of days and you're like, okay, where's my results? Well, you got to keep doing it every single day. You might have to change up your exercise. You can't just run every day. You can't just do yoga every other day. You might have to incorporate weights or some other type of exercise. It really is the same thing as marketing. It's consistency. It's every week. It's reading. It's strategy that needs to be incorporated. And if you're not, it's not necessarily a loan officer's business, right? Some it might come more naturally to. But I think it's really important that you're looking at some type of a consultant, whether it be an internal marketing consultant on your team or an external outsourced consultant, or even if you're using your loan partner and assistant to just leverage additional results. You want to make sure you're meeting and having a full-fledged plan. Again, it's not just one piece or a second piece, and it's something that's like throwing spaghetti against the wall because as we know, we don't know what's going to stick. So we have to really, look at results on a week-to-week basis and have it dialed in.
Yeah, and I think people just you're right. They want the results right away. And sometimes people in this industry, I think any salesperson can relate to this, that we have a tendency to have an idea and want to do it yesterday. So it's like, oh, I just want to hurry up and do it. But sometimes, yeah, it's a great idea. Push it out a little bit further rather than getting an idea and wanting to do it yesterday. Have the idea and plan it for 2 months from now. And then you can really make sure that you are following the steps, that you're doing everything possible, because a lot of times people are spending money to put on an event. You want people there. You want the right people there.
I think it also lends to a couple of pieces of discussion, which we've had maybe in some previous podcasts, but pulling it into this thought process of the full-fledged strategy and consulting is that individuals respond differently. They absorb media differently. So, while somebody might have seen that and read that press release about the elephant stomping on the mayor's yard, one person really enjoys reading press releases or has a news outlet that they're engaged with. Another might have just seen the sales promotion in the paper about one activity that's happening at the circus, and they're just going for that activity, right? It's really no different for loan officers in their business. Maybe somebody is really dialed in, paying attention to when rates are dropping because they're looking to buy, where another person is looking to renovate their kitchen and they're interested in learning more about HELOCs or learning more about renovation lending strategies and buying a second or home or moving to a different home that has more options for them. So it's really no different when you're trying to reach a larger audience, identify who that audience is, and we need to hit them in different ways. And again, that helps pull together more of a full-fledged strategy and plan that you're using.
I love that you hit on that because it's so true. I mean, it's something that I go through different seasons of thinking about it a lot. It's the different love languages of how you receive information, how you give love, receive love, all of that. But yeah, some people are auditory, some people are visual, some people, they need to meet face to face. Some people, most people need to hear things 5 different times, 5 different ways. And then it finally sinks in. It's like, oh yeah, I've heard about that. Well, it's like, no, of course you've heard about it. This is the 5th time I'm telling you.
Yes.
But we're all very busy and we have this conversation all the time. We wear the marketing hat, the sales hat, the mom hat, the wife hat, all these different hats and running in a million different directions. I'm missing things left and right if it's just in an email. I need that reminder.
Well, you hit it too. And it's a different way to look at it too. Not only hitting them in different ways because people absorb and consume media differently, but hitting them multiple times. So it's about frequency and making sure we're checking all the boxes of promotion, sales, advertising, public relations, checking those boxes, developing a strategy there, and then also a way and that we're continuously hitting people and making sure it's a consistent process. So I think there's multiple components within the strategy too. And this is why it's so important that you're having those consulting calls and you have a plan written down or a process that you have built out. It's again, not just saying, well, I did this really well this week and I did that really well last week. And then I took a shot at that. Sure, you're dipping your toe in the water, but that's not really a full-fledged marketing plan or strategy.
Yeah. And for our loan officers listening or our marketing execs listening, I really want you to think of situations that you've been in, and really go through those steps of advertising, promotion, publicity, PR, sales, and then all fall under the marketing umbrella. Where do you find yourself spending the most time? Where do you find yourself completely shying away? Like, I don't want to do the PR thing. It's too much of a pain in the butt, or I don't want to dabble in that. Or maybe where is the area that you really gravitate towards, you really love? I want you to think about those things so that you can think about the full picture and kind of give yourself a little SWOT analysis. Where are your strengths? Where are you struggling? And then that will help you devise a plan on what you really need to focus on.
I like that a lot. I think it's a really good start, Rachel. Share ideas with us. We want this podcast to be interactive. We want to hear more about your comments, examples, things you're doing, something that resonated that we're talking about so we can give feedback directly to you. I think that that's the best way that we start this kind of collaborating and conversation. Rachel and I are always learning. We're leaders in our department. We are always learning new things in this space. I just chatted with another leader at another marketing firm today. I had a great conversation, understanding a little bit more about the depth of what they're doing. So I think always the name of the game is share ideas, and we get nuggets from each other on how we can stand out more and how we can be more consistent with a more targeted approach.
Yeah, I love that collaboration. There's so much business out there. There's no need to ever get territorial within your own company or with other companies. The more that we can share and level each other up, I mean, that's really powerful stuff. I want to kind of dabble into or maybe breach the subject of how do you be effective without being overwhelming. And I think this is something that our marketing friends listening to can relate to, because it's, we're always trying to be intentional with what we're doing, but how do you do that in a way that's effective where you're not driving people crazy, you're not being overwhelming? What's the strategy that you have seen that's worked, Ren?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty broad question, but I think a
Yeah.
starting place or stepping stone for an answer is that, we're evaluating and utilizing a lot of tools within our strategy, but we might not be at, if you're looking at, level 1 being beginner, level 10 being expert, we're not at level 10 right out of the gates on anything. We're building stepping stones within all of those tools so that we're covering our basis. We're trying to reach individuals in different ways and on a consistent basis, but we might be adding layers as we go along. Don't feel like, okay, well, this is an overwhelming conversation because, I only have a couple things dialed in, but I know I need to have a few other pieces, and they're not where I need them to be. Let's try to layer things week to week. And again, that's a part of having a plan first. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be at level 10 out of the gates. It means you might be at a 1, beginning, and then you're building from there. And I think that's a way to make it feel a little less overwhelming when you're starting. I'm probably speaking in broad terms here, but we can dial into actual media and talk in a little bit more specifics too. Does that make sense, right?
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? You're not going to be an expert right out of the gate?
I think it can feel overwhelming. There's a lot of marketing tools and platforms for loan officers. There's a lot of different ways to connect. We've got social media, videos, events, technology, different ways to reach individuals, past customers and partners through your CRM. How do you have it all dialed in if you don't have that consultant full time? And I think it's a lot of times saying, okay, first comes the plan, which we talked about in the beginning, and then let's talk about being consistent. How can I be consistent, and how can I start putting layers and pieces in the plan?
Yeah, I think that's the recipe for success. And when I'm talking about all these different things, advertising and promotion and PR, I'm not saying to do all of those on day one at the same time. That's the layered approach where you do one thing and then you move to the next and then you move to the next, but having that plan in place to say, okay, I'm going to hit all of these different things at different times, but not taking it all on at once. That's way too much. And you're setting yourself up for, I don't want to say for failure, but you're setting yourself up for some stress. So I hope that doesn't sound contradictory in any way, but yeah, I want you to give yourself some grace, give yourself some time, create the plan, and roll with it and see what's working, see what's not working. I think grace needs to come into this equation.
Oh, absolutely. And if, you're turning to your marketing team to help provide you resources, help provide you platforms, help provide you conversations that you may need to get where you want to go. Yes, that should absolutely be expected. But, this is also a part of process of learning from other loan officers, learning from other partners in the field, seeing something that, a real estate agent or partner of yours is doing. And maybe it applies really great to your business too. I have gotten some really great creative ideas just this week that I've been pumping around to colleagues of mine. So it never stops. It's always evolving. It's always breathing. We're all in it together. So, I think that the starting place, which is where Rachael started, is illustrating the word marketing, how broad that word really is. And then just kind of stepping back for a second and looking at the pieces and components of it and how they're really defined. So we can fill in holes maybe where we need to and be more consistent in our approach.
Yeah, and putting that strategy over, can I say it, the spray and pray and just like, blah, here's all the information, here's everything. And one thing we do talk about often is the who, and the why. Who do you want to reach? I mean, maybe we need to talk about that more, really going after your key. Who is your key avatar? Who is your demographic? Who is your perfect client? And defining that and then going after it. If you don't have that locked in and defined, well, then how are you going to reach them?
Yeah, I agree. That is a really important exercise that you should be going through with any consultant that you're working with, sitting down and looking at your past database, your past customer database, and analyzing everything. Is there any trend from an age demographic? Is there any trend from a first-time home buyer versus somebody who's individuals that are looking at investment properties? Is there any specifics or nuances in the actual geographic location that you're in that you want to make note of? New construction versus people doing renovation lending. So take a look at your database. What is the trend within your own demographic? And then a lot of times your answers are really sitting there. Sometimes your answers are a lot closer to you than you realize they are. You think it's this broader, more large, complex answer, and it's actually something simplistic that's really just sitting right in front of you. So look at your database. That's a really good starting place and should be definitely a part of the conversation when audience comes into play.
Isn't that funny? The KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. The simplest, easiest strategy is always the best. Always the best.
I've never heard that, Rachel. I like that one. No, there's another little ringer for me. The KISS method. I like that.
Keep it simple, stupid. Maybe there's a better word for stupid. I don't know. So yeah, guys, the idea here is that marketing is the strategy, not just the one thing that you do. Marketing is the full plan, the full strategy. So don't just post, plan, and really have that intentional, strategic thought process. I think it's going to help you in the long run, and think beyond the moment and really ask, who am I doing this for? What am I doing this for? We'd love to hear what step of the process do you really thrive in? Where do you get stuck? I'd love to hear that from everybody.
I agree. We would love that. Hey, listen, this was a great one. Please comment, please like and share. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear what your definition of marketing has been. And if you just wanted to let us know what you think about the elephant analogy and the circus, remember, we're all in this circus together. It's been a good one, guys.
Catch you next time.
We're all in this circus together. It's making
all in this together. Blah, 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 blah.
I don't know. That might have been a little fluffy one. I don't know how.
I don't know. Whatever.